Start here. Well, want to welcome everyone this morning or afternoon, depending on where you're at. We're going to be hearing from Noah Buchanan from Hunt's Photo and Video. Hunt's Photo and Video is one of Southeast Arizona Birding Festival's fabulous sponsors. Been together with us since like 2018. And this year, Noah and the Hunt's crew is going to be out at couple different locations in the morning of each day of the festival on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And they're going to be having a lot of gear for you to try out. And so Noah's going to share a little bit more about what Hunt's is going to be doing. As he's sharing, also, I just want to let everyone know that you can use the chat function down below to interact with Noah. Or since it's just a small group of us, you can always take yourself off of mute and ask some questions verbally. That would probably be a good idea today. Just feel free to do that when it's appropriate. And then also I want to introduce Tyler Ficker. Tyler is going to be helping Noah and Hunt's Photo on Saturday morning at Reid Park. And Tyler is also a guide for Sabrewing Nature Tours, another one of our awesome sponsors for the festival. And so, Noah, why don't you share a little bit about Hunt's Photo and what you'll be doing at the festival? Really looking forward to hosting you.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So thanks, Luke. I appreciate you setting this up and having me come on. Really just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about myself, about Hunt's Photo, some of the changes that we're making to this year's event versus previous year's events, and just kind of what you can expect at the festival this year with Hunt's support. So again, my name is Noah Buchanan and I work for Hunt's Photo and Video. If you're not familiar with Hunt's, we're actually a photo and video retail company based out of New England. We have 8 locations actually in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine, and Rhode Island. But typically I am traveling 3-4 times a month to different trade shows and conferences and events all over the country. I haven't been doing really hardly any of that since last March. This show in Arizona for the Arizona Birding Festival will be my first large show that I've done in over a year and a half now. I've done a couple of small events. So I am definitely looking forward to getting back to traveling, seeing everybody in person, and being back out on the road again. It's going to be a really exciting time. If you have seen us at other shows and other conferences around the country or at the Arizona Birding Festival in years previous in 2019, 2018, you'll have known I was there with the big booth. We have tons of gear, tons of equipment that we're there selling off, helping you answer questions and things along those lines. Now, we are still going to be taking a booth this year, but the amount of actually gear and equipment that we have for sale is going to be very limited as far as we've done in years past. Really what we've decided to do moving forward with a lot of these events and shows is try to work with all the attendees out in the field, go on field trips, any photo excursions that are going on, and actually be out in the field with all of you and help you out with technical questions, provide loaner gear and loaner equipment for you to actually try out new cameras, new lenses, and new accessories that you can get your hands on and use out in the field. And we'll still have all the great show pricing, all the great show promotions, but instead of physically having the product there at the show, we'll just process the order there. I'll have my computer and everything with me and just have it shipped directly to you. So you're still going to get that same great pricing on all those products, but we're going to cut back on how much gear and equipment we're actually going to be bringing and focus more about being out in the field, getting to know all of you better and helping you out with your photography and your birding. Now, with that being said, again, I still will have a booth in the vendor area at the hotel, but I'll probably only be there limited times in the afternoons for several hours each afternoon. But as Luke said, Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning, we'll be out shooting with all of you working in the field. I have a bunch of lenses from Tamron that I'm going to be bringing down there that we're going to have on loan available for you to test out and try out, from longer telephoto lenses to some macro lenses to some wider angle stuff and kind of everything in between. It's going to be a really nice selection that Tamron has put together for us. I have also arranged for some loaner tripods and some loaner gimbal heads from Pro Media Gear, which is a US-based tripod company just outside of Chicago that we've been working with for a long time. They are definitely on the higher tier of tripods, but the quality of them is really some of the best that I have ever seen. And we were able to arrange some loaners from them for you guys to try out and to utilize and play around with out in the field. And I'm also still in the works right now with Olympus to try to line up some Olympus loaner equipment too. Olympus has really kind of taken the birding industry by storm, and a lot of bird and wildlife photographers that I work with have made that transition over to Olympus because of the size and weight savings that you're going to see, which is really exciting. You can get a 600 millimeter equivalent lens that's only going to weigh maybe 2-3 pounds versus a 600 millimeter full frame lens, which may weigh up to 10-12 pounds. So they have really been doing some amazing stuff in terms of the birding and wildlife industry with longer telephoto lenses. So I'm working with them right now to try to secure some loaners to have down there too, along with the Tamron lenses and also the tripods and gimbal heads from Pro Media Gear. So that's going to be all available for you every morning. We'll kind of facilitate all of those, allow you to take it out in the field. I'll be there again answering any technical questions, helping out in the field, and you'll probably be teaching me more about birding than I know. I am definitely a novice when it comes to birding, but I've been doing photography for almost 14 years now, and I've been working for hunts for 5 years. So any technical questions, gear questions, anything like that, I am definitely the person to ask. I can help out really wherever I can. Now, if you're going to ask me to ID a bird or something for you, I may not be able to do that, but really excited that we have Tyler joining us on Saturday morning at Reid Park. We met Tyler several years back at the biggest week in American Birding Festival, and have been working with him ever since, and have actually been working more together this past year now, and was really excited to get him involved in helping us out on Saturday. He is a great guide. As Luke mentioned, he works for Sabrewing Nature Tours. He will be down there with Sabrewing, doing some guides with them on Thursday and Friday, but had Saturday off and graciously decided to come and join us and help us out on Saturday as well, which is going to be really exciting. I'm looking forward to getting out and shooting with him and doing some birding with him and all of you too. He's been so great to work with. His knowledge of birding and wildlife is really just outstanding. So excited to have him coming down as well. Really, we've been trying to work with more younger photographers and trying to get more younger people incorporated into the events and programs that we're doing. So the fact that Tyler is in his 20s, just like I am, worked out really well. So I'm looking forward to being down there with everyone and getting a younger perspective on birding and photography to help you all out. It's something that I'm super passionate about, especially when it comes to gear and equipment. So you'll definitely be in good hands with us on Saturday, and also on Thursday and Friday. If you're coming out with me, you'll be in good hands as far as equipment and technical help and all of that goes. Going off of that, I know I mentioned that we're not going to have much gear there physically at the show. So if there is anything that you want to order beforehand to have there at the show, if you're looking for maybe a new lens or a new tripod or a new bag or whatever it may be, I can honor the show pricing that we're going to have at the event prior to the show and just ship it to you directly, or ship it to wherever you're going to be staying during the festival. So you'll have it there with you. I'll put my email down in the chat just so everybody has it as well. So if you have any questions or looking to pick anything up before you leave, any spare memory cards, spare batteries, things along those lines, I can definitely, if it's small enough, I can just bring it down there with me. If it's something a little bit larger, I can just ship it directly to you. So you'll have it directly there at the event and good to go. And anything that you decide that, hey, maybe you got to try a new lens or a new tripod and want to purchase one for yourself, you'll have the ability to do that at the show as well, at special pricing on everything. And I know Tamron will also have one of their reps there on hand, which is going to be really great. So if you have other technical questions, more specific about Tamron lenses, one of their reps will be there in the vendor area as well. Luke, do you know if Mark is leading any classes or anything this year? I know he did in the years previous.
Yeah, so both Mark Morris and Suzanne Palermo will be here at the festival with Tamron. Lisa Langle is going to be doing a couple different classes with Tamron. So, but Mark is not scheduled to do any of the workshops at this time.
Gotcha. Perfect.
But he'll be there.
Yeah.
Mark's real knowledgeable about it.
And Lisa's great too. Everybody loves Lisa. Yeah. I don't think I've ever met anybody who didn't get along with Lisa. So if you've never met her or gotten to see some of her work, she's an amazing photographer, just an amazing person in general. So you're definitely going to be blown away if you get the chance to work with her and talk to her. So that is really exciting as well. So there's really a ton of amazing opportunities to take advantage of. the ability to try out new gear and new equipment, and expand your photography and take your photography to the next level. Tyler, I want to let you just introduce yourself and give everybody a little bit of information about your background in birding and photography, just so they get to know you a little bit better. And then we can kind of just open it up to some questions. While you're talking, I'm going to try to think if there's anything else that I'm leaving out specifically, but I just wanted you to come on and introduce yourself as well to everybody who's on or watching this recording as well.
All right, awesome. Well, yeah, well, thanks for having me. I'm glad that I'm able to take some time and get the camera and do some wildlife and bird photography with Hunt and with all of you for this year's event. Like I mentioned, I'll be with Sabrewing Nature Tours doing a lot of the birding guiding. But I've been birding and probably had a camera in my hand every time I've been outdoors since I was in the 4th grade. So I've been doing that for 12 or 13 years now. And yeah, like I said, it's very rare for people to see me outside without my camera in hand. I started carrying a camera just for documenting rare birds and just documenting things were around me, wanting to show off to people who may not be interested in birds, like the things that they can see around us. And that quickly became less of a hobby, more of an obsession. And I spent a lot of time outside, and now I actually get to lead photo tours with Sabrewing. And it's been great. It's put me in contact with a lot of people. I get to do some awesome things. Like Noah mentioned, I've been working with them for about a year now, doing various presentations and now this event together, and I'm very much looking forward to being there.
Awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be a really exciting time. I'm sure all of you are looking forward to it just as much as we are. It's been a while since we've been able to kind of gather together and have an event like this. I love the Tucson area. I love the whole festival in general. I am definitely looking forward to being back down there. And just really the whole experience is just so amazing. It's such an amazing time. So many amazing people, and really the attendees are what make it so special. All of you have been so great to work with. If you've been at the festival in years past, you probably already know that, but if this is going to be your first time, you're definitely in for a treat. I did miss traveling so much last year, as I'm sure many of you did as well. So I'm really excited to get back out on the road and start doing some events and conferences again and getting to see everybody, and really kind of taking this new approach where we get to work with you out in the field. And that's going to be the approach that we're going to take at a lot of events going forward. So if you do attend any other birding festivals or conferences around the country that we're also going to be involved with, we're going to take a very similar approach and try to bring different equipment and gear every time for all the attendees to take advantage of and to get their hands on in a real world situation, rather than just trying out a camera indoors at a camera store or inside in the trade show room. You don't really get that full experience. So I'm really excited to give everybody the opportunity to try out some new gear out in the field, get some real world use out of it. And if you're looking for a new lens or anything like that, it's a great opportunity to really try before you buy, with no additional cost to you, and some great shooting locations with some amazing opportunities. So again, I know this wasn't a super long program by any means, but it was really just an opportunity for me to come on to introduce myself, to introduce Tyler, to give you a little bit of an idea of what's going to be going on, what you can expect, to prepare you. So if you do need any gear or equipment before you actually go to the events, you have the ability to reach out to me and place any orders beforehand. And just really wanted to see if anybody had any questions for myself or Tyler or Luke about our involvement, about the festival or anything else. And just wanted to thank you for coming on and just allowing us to kind of give you a breakdown of everything, and look forward to seeing everyone in the next few weeks here. It's definitely fast approaching. So I can't wait to get back down there. So just want to thank you again, Luke, for putting this together. And yeah, just if anybody has any questions, you can unmute yourself or put them down in the chat.
Yeah, it's certainly fast approaching.
I'm sure for you, it's definitely creeping up.
Let's see, Jen asks, will you have lenses that are compatible with a Nikon camera?
Yes, I will have Nikon lenses. I'll have Canon compatible lenses, and I'll also have some Sony compatible lenses as well. And then hopefully I'll get some stuff from Olympus, so I'll have some Micro Four Thirds too. Nothing specifically for Fuji, unfortunately, but should be able to at least cover everything else as long as I can secure everything with Olympus, which I'll hopefully have an answer for this week with Olympus's transition of ownership. Some things have taken a little bit longer than usual, just with new people in the company and just new ways of going about doing business.
Peggy's wondering about if she brings the 1.4 teleconverter that she bought from you or bought from Tamron, can you help me use it?
Yes, you definitely do bring it with you. I can definitely help you out with it. We can try to figure out what's going on and get that all sorted out for you. So yeah, definitely do bring that with you, and we can try to sort that out.
Oh, there she's wearing her Birdathon shirt too. Hey, Becky.
Thanks, Noah, because I bought it from you, and
Yeah.
with my 600, my 150 to 600 Tamron, I just can't ever get it to focus, and I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. But I've gotten one really great picture out of it, and I just haven't used it much because I can't get it to focus.
Yeah. Bring it down with you. I can take a look at it, see what might be going on. If it is something where it maybe is defective, we can get it swapped out for you and get you taken care of one way or another.
Thanks, Noah.
Of course.
That's really the beauty of working with hunts. The customer service is really the best. You can just tell every time, really good communication. And the cool thing about the festival is that you won't have to do it through email or phone call. You'll be able to do it right in person. That's for any of you. If you're watching this on video and you're wondering whether you could bring something and have Noah or Tyler help you out with it, yeah, they're more than willing to help you out with that. Any other questions?
Without really having a birding place and without having a camera store in town anymore, I've dealt only with Noah via email and the phone, and he's been awesome. So I'm excited to get to do it in person, but Hans and Noah have just been so awesome.
That's the thing. That's what I like doing these events, is because I get to talk to people on the phone and email people all the time, but I never really get to see them face to face, or unless we're at these events, and I haven't been able to do that in the past year and a half. So I'm looking forward to getting back out and seeing so many familiar faces and new faces of people that I've been speaking to and working with this past year. So that's really my favorite thing. So it's nice. I get the best of both worlds, and I definitely miss being on the road. So I can't wait to get back out and see everybody in person and talk to people face to face instead of through a computer screen. So it's going to be a really exciting time.
Yes. I had a Nikon D3500, and I've heard that there are a lot of things that won't work with it. So like the extender, they don't work with the extender.
Depending which lenses you have, if you have the lenses that came with it, so they have the 2-lens package with the 18 to 55 and the 70 to 300, the extender will not work with those. So that's not necessarily a lens problem, more so that those extenders are only made for specific lenses. Now I will have some longer lenses down there from Tamron, both 150 to 600 and 100 to 400 millimeter lenses that are compatible with Nikon. So you'll be able to get your hands on those and test out some longer lenses as well that will work with your D3500.
Okay, I think I got it with the 18 to 55, but instead of the 70 to 300, I got an 18 to 300.
18 to 300, yes. Yeah.
And so it doesn't work with that, I assume?
It does not. So the teleconverter for Nikon, it'll work with their 70 to 200. It'll work with their 200 to 500 millimeter, their 2 to 400. And then all of their longer prime lenses, their 300, their 400, 500, 600 millimeters. So it really works with a lot of their higher end expensive lenses.
Right.
Basically, it needs enough space to sit inside the lens itself. So a lot of lenses will have that rear element, that piece of glass right up where the lens mounts on.
Okay.
So there's no way for those teleconverters to fit onto them. The teleconverters need some space in the rear of the lens to actually fit inside of it. So it's kind of a limitation as to what is actually going to fit into the lens.
So what kind of, you said the Olympus, you're going to have a 150 to 600?
So I'll have the 150 to 600 from Tamron, which will be
Tamron.
compatible with yours. From Olympus, I'm working on trying to secure a couple EM1 Mark III bodies and a couple EM1X bodies, along with some of their 100 to 400s. If I can get their new 150 to 400 to have down there, I would love to. I don't know if that's going to be possible. That lens has been on a massive back order. They just came out with it last year, but experienced way more orders than they were expecting. So they've been having a tough time trying to fulfill all of those and keep up with production. But I'll have some lenses from Olympus, or I'm working on trying to get some lenses from Olympus, just waiting for a final confirmation on that. But for your camera specifically, I'll have lenses that go up to 600 millimeters.
Okay. So I've that 300, I mean, it just doesn't seem to get me close enough to what I want
Yeah.
to do, you know, what I thought it would be, but it's just not. So
it seems longer on paper than it is when you're actually out in the field.
Exactly. And I'm like, you know, I'm trying to shoot a bird across my yard in the, you know, in a tree, but I have like a 1 acre lot, so I have a pretty big yard. And it just like, I have to then blow it up, and by then I'm getting too much noise in the picture, and it's like, this is so annoying.
Yeah. So that 150 to 600 from Tamron, while it is a bit of a big lens, it's an awesome lens to use. It'll give you twice the focal length, and the quality of it's really great. And it's priced well too for a lens that's 600 millimeters. Certainly it's not as inexpensive as say the 18 to 300, but for the 600 millimeter equivalent for what it does, it is pretty well priced. So that is a really awesome lens, and you'll definitely want to try that out when we're down there.
Yes, definitely want to do that for sure. I know I'm going to one of your things. I don't remember which one. I've got
awesome.
my schedule during this thing. It starts at about 5 in the morning and goes till about 8 or 9.
Oh boy.
Some nights 10 o'clock at night, because I'm volunteering and doing a bunch of stuff too. So it's like I'm going to be pretty wiped out by the time this is done. And then I'm leaving
imagine.
the very next day after the end of the festival. I'm leaving to go to Palm Springs for 4 days. So it's like, man, am I crazy to be scheduling this kind of stuff?
You're a little crazy, but it's a good crazy.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. I'm just really, really looking forward to doing all the volunteering and going to all the events and everything. So it's
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Is this your first time going to the festival?
No, I went to 2018 and didn't really do a lot, and then 2019 and did more. And then of course, ta-da, 2020. I did all of the virtual things in the 2021. Yeah, I did the 2020 stuff. So this will be a return, but yes, I'm looking forward to it's the first time I will have volunteered for it. So
awesome.
It'll be.
That's great.
Thanks, Tina. Kay, did you have a question?
I do. When you're out in the field and shooting just normal birds, do you use aperture priority or shutter speed priority for the most part?
So it depends. For me personally, if I'm photographing a bird that's perched, I'll usually shoot an aperture priority to really determine how much out of focus area I'm going to have. But if I'm doing birds in flight, then I'll usually put it on shutter priority to prioritize my shutter speed to make sure it's going to be fast enough to freeze the action of the bird in flight. So it really does depend if the birds you're photographing are in flight or if they're perched and you're doing more of a bird portrait, then I'll typically put it in aperture priority. What about you, Tyler? Same thing for you, or are you all manual? Or
yeah, so for the most part, I would say I do the same thing. Especially if it's like an early morning, the sun's rising, or if it's a cloudy day and clouds are constantly passing overhead, and you're going to get a fluctuation in both your background if you're shooting birds in flight and you're bouncing between clouds or a blue sky, or if, like I said, the sun's coming up and your lighting's rapidly changing, something like aperture and shutter are going to be really beneficial there. When I'm in a consistent setting and I know like it may be a little overcast or everything, I like to shoot in full manual just because then I have that control to get the aperture that I want, get that depth of field that I like, but also keep an eye on what my shutter is in case there's any sort of action shot I'm going for. Overcast days, like those bright overcast days where the lighting's consistent is a great opportunity to do something like that. But for changing situations, I like to use aperture for portraits and shutter for birds in flight or action shots.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
I always use automatic. Is that all right? Just whatever. It just does it.
Yeah. Auto can work too. You definitely have more things that you can't really determine yourself. So sometimes it can be frustrating if it's not coming out quite how you want it. But aperture priority or shutter priority are great too, because then you can just determine that one setting specifically and the camera will predetermine everything else for you. And typically a lot of times I'm shooting an auto ISO. I know some people are either for or against that. For me, it works out well, and I'll just set that auto ISO, usually limited at around 8,000. So I know I can get usable images and I don't have to worry about changing my ISO around either. Then all I need to do is just change my aperture, change my shutter speed to the appropriate one for whatever photograph that I'm trying to make. And I find that works out easiest for me. When I got into it, I thought it was all about shooting fully manual, and everybody had to shoot manual if you wanted to be a serious photographer. Definitely not the case. If you're comfortable doing that and prefer doing that, you definitely can. But I find it just takes too much time, and sometimes you risk missing the shot. So these cameras are so smart and do such a good job that they can really do most of the work for you. So I always, 99% of the time, I'm in usually aperture shutter priority. I very rarely shoot in full manual unless I'm doing maybe astrophotography where I really need to kind of do everything myself, or sometimes in landscape photography where I have the time to set it up and give myself time to really dial everything in. But if I'm doing any kind of moving subject matter, always going to try to use aperture or shutter priority just to get that exposure set up as quickly as possible. What aperture and shutter speeds do you use? It depends. For birds in flight, I try to be at around at least 1,000th or higher. Aperture, if the bird's not moving whatsoever and I can drop it down as low as it'll go, I'll open it up all the way at the widest aperture and just really blur out that background. Otherwise, I try to stay somewhere in the middle around 5.6 f8. That's typically going to be the sharpest point of your lens.
And it depends how close you are to the bird as well.
That too, yeah.
If the bird's right up pushing minimal focal distance, you're going to need a little larger of a number there. Get a little more depth and focus there,
exactly.
as if the bird was a little further away. So, do I use a tripod for moving birds? It depends. I like to have. So I shoot with the Nikon, the 500 PF lens, which is a very small, lightweight 500 millimeter lens. So oftentimes I don't really have much of an issue hand holding if I'm tracking something in flight. If it's something where I'm trying to catch gulls or terns flying around, and they're very unpredictable, I like to hand hold for stuff like that. A lot of times another friend of mine and I will put on a bunch of camo and go out and sit in marshes and wait for ducks to come flying in towards us. For something like that, I definitely like to have a tripod, if nothing else for stability when I'm in the water, but also that way I have my camera kind of fixated at a certain point, but with a gimbal head, I can quickly pan for something like taking off or landing, where you kind of have an idea of where that's going to be happening. If the bird's in the water, you know exactly where it's going to take off from because it's sitting right there. And for that, the tripod definitely helps a lot. Or breeding behavior. Shorebirds do a lot of displays up on their breeding grounds. And if I have a tripod there and I'm just following this given individual bird, then I have that extra stability ready, and I can get by with different settings than I could if I was hand holding. So I definitely prefer to use a tripod, but I don't always.
Yeah, for me, most of the time I'm hand holding, but if I know I'm going to be in the same location for a long period of time and not really moving around, so like down in Bosque at one of the crane pools, I'll typically set up a tripod there and a gimbal just because I know I'll be at that pool for a while. But if I'm in a place where I'm going to be moving around to some different locations in that area, typically I don't bother with the tripod just because I find it to be too much of a hassle to set up and break down. But it does also depending upon what gear you're going to be using. If you have really heavy equipment, a tripod can sometimes be necessary. I'm shooting with Sony right now, and I've been using their Tamron's 150 to 500 for that, which is hand holdable. It's definitely a little heavy, but on the lighter side, I would say for larger lenses of that size. So most of the time I'll just hand hold that. But I do have the ability to throw it on a gimbal head if I know I'm going to be in the same location for a while and not moving around too much. And then, Peggy, getting back to your question about Olympus for birding. So it really comes down to that size and weight. Olympus is a lot smaller than, especially full frame DSLRs, but also full frame mirrorless systems. Olympus is a micro four thirds size sensor, so it's half the size of a full frame sensor, which means the cameras themselves are about half the size physically, and the lenses are about half the size as full frame lenses, if not smaller. So you really do save on a lot of size and weight, and it makes it just so much easier if you're out for long periods of time, carrying around all that gear with you. You're still getting similar focal lengths, but at a much lighter weight. So that's really the main reason that a lot of people are switching over to Olympus is because of that size and weight savings. Their new EM1X does have animal eye autofocus and bird autofocus as well, which is really popular. So just a couple different reasons, but I'd say size and weight is probably the biggest one.
Thank you.
Yeah, Lee Hoy will be one of the photographers that'll be at the festival doing some various workshops and field trips, and I think he does a lot of Olympus stuff too, so you'd probably talk to Lee about that as well. Tina, let's see, I really need a decent tripod. I don't have one. But tripods can be expensive too, right? So
they definitely can be. Yeah, we do. So we do have some used tripods. We typically don't take a ton of them in. But if you shoot me an email, Tina, and let me know kind of the budget that you're trying to work with, I can try to find something used or try to work up a good price on a new one for you. So I'll put my email back down in the chat so you have that, and I can try to find something for you that's not going to be super expensive, but still be sturdy and durable enough to hold all your gear and equipment and not break down on you. I'd be happy to help you out with that to see what we have.
We'll make sure to have Noah's email in the follow-up information that I send to you all later this afternoon as well. So
okay, and what about used lenses too? Do you have used lenses?
We do, yes. We do sell used lenses, all different kinds. So if there's anything specific you're looking for, I can check to see what we have available. They come and go pretty frequently, so I can definitely do a search if you have some lenses in mind or some focal lengths in mind to see what we have available and work up a price for you.
Yeah, I'm looking for a 150 to 600 for sure. Or at least, I don't know. I don't know whether I should get a zoom or if I should get a prime lens. I mean, I know the primes are more expensive. So.
And what system are you shooting with again?
I have the Nikon D3500.
Oh, yes, so correct. Yes.
So it's a starter camera.
Sure.
I've only been using it a year, although I did photojournalism when I was in college with a Pentax, a 35 millimeter film camera. So and then I had a Canon A1 for a while, again a film camera, and this is the first DSLR I've had, this 3500, and I know it's a starter camera, and I'm so far out of practice that I'm trying to remember all of the shutter and the aperture. I know the depth of field and all that. I'm trying to remember all that stuff, and I'm having trouble with it, even with an automatic lens, automatic camera. You know, I'm still trying to get decent photos.
Yeah.
So,
send me an email, and I will check to see what we have after we get off this call. I will look into our system to see what I have, and I can get back to you and send you some options, and we can try to find some that's going to be suitable for you without breaking the bank on it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Of course.
Never want to break the bank.
No, that would not be a good thing. If the bank's broken, then we're all in trouble.
Well, all right. Hey, if anyone has any other questions or thoughts that come up, you know, you have Noah's email address, and you can reach out to him anytime, or myself if you have a question about the festival. I'll try to respond to your question as soon as possible here. But yeah, just thank you so much for joining us. Noah, Tyler, any last thoughts before we head out?
No, I mean, I just want to thank everybody for coming on, and thank you, Luke, for just putting this all together. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in a few weeks. If you do have any questions or anything before we get down there, please reach out to me via email. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing all of you in person, getting out in the field and working with all of you, and giving you the ability to try out some new gear and some new equipment, and just be out there making some great images and just making some great memories. So it's going to be a really exciting event. I can't wait.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited to be part and very excited to help out with work alongside Noah here and do some photo stuff with you all, and very much looking forward to seeing you all out there.
Thanks for all of the information.
So thank you, everyone. We'll see you all soon. Have a good couple of weeks, and see you down in Arizona. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Can't wait to see you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.